Okay, guys, Dr. Torado here. We're going to get started in just a minute. All right. Okay, here we go. So we are talking about, we're going to be talking about self-doubt. That's really what I want to talk about tonight, because I know that a lot of practitioners, depending upon wherever they are in practice, if they're just starting practice, or if they're in the middle of their practice, they plateaued in practice, or even if they're doing very, very well in practice, at some point in time, I know that they're going to end up doubting themselves. And so what I really want to talk about is that is let's just talk about doubt, right? And the definition of doubt really is to have a lack of confidence in a particular area in yourself, or to lack a particular just have a lack of confidence in your abilities. That's usually what it is. It's a lack of faith or lack of confidence in yourself. So I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about exactly where that comes from. Now, first, you've got to understand that if you doubt yourself, look, it's normal. I'm just telling you, it's normal. No matter how confident you are, right? At some point in time, doubt is going to be normal. And truthfully, even today, here I am, years in practice, right? Years in practice. There are still times that I doubt myself from time to time. I just do. Um, it just happens. We have doubt, even though we think we've gone through everything in our lives, right? There's still more we're going to experience. And I'll be honest with you, I probably doubt myself. It's got to be 3 or 4 times a year, maybe even more, right? But here's the thing, right? I've learned that, although I do doubt myself, that when I do have doubt, it usually lasts. It doesn't last a long time. It usually lasts a short time. It could be, a few hours. It could be a few minutes, and it's not something that goes on and on and on for days and weeks and months and things like that. It's not. It doesn't create all these other side effects like anxiety and fear. But and when I do have those doubts, okay, it's usually it's some type of a sign that I'm usually um, doing something like I'm on the right track, okay. And the reason why I say that is because it usually is when I'm learning something new, maybe a new platform, a new computer platform, maybe a new social media platform, maybe a new marketing platform, maybe I'm trying out a new computer program or something like that. That's when a doubt might creep in. I'm not too sure what I'm doing. It might happen sometimes when I push myself beyond my normal comfort zone. Like, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I'm making a purchase on a home within the next couple of weeks, and you know what? Some doubt has creeped into my mind as to, hey, should I be doing it? Should I not be doing it? I've got the money, but should I be spending money in these times now? So I get a little bit of doubt inside there. Whatever it is, a doubt kind of creeps in sometimes when I'm testing my current beliefs, or I'm testing my current comfort level, or I'm testing my habits at that particular time. That's when doubt usually creeps in. And honestly, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's a normal thing. Having constant doubts about yourself and about your actions and about your business and about things, that stuff is toxic, right? And that stuff, you got to handle that. I mean, you got to handle that immediately, because if you just let that go, that's like leaven, right? That's like yeast. It just starts spreading throughout your life. It starts spreading throughout your business. And if you really think about it, how can you be successful like that, right? When you've got this poison inside your brain that's causing all these questions and all these self-doubts, it creates anxiety, creates fear, and it creates stagnation. It's like hitting a wall. Look, just from what I've seen over being in chiropractic for the past 32 years, I think a lot of doubt, um, I think a lot of self doubt is a result of a lot of chiropractors uh, that have these certain types of characteristics. Okay, now it's not, it might be some of these, it might be all of these things, but this is kind of what I've seen in myself. It's what I've seen in chiropractors, entrepreneurs that start to develop self-doubt or continuously have self-doubt. The number one thing is when they take shortcuts, right? These doctors that take shortcuts are usually going to have self-doubt. They just will, because they're not laying that firm foundation of things, of building a business or building a practice. So they take these shortcuts, like they go and they run Facebook ads, right, without really having a way to make your patients happy and a good communication system, inside their business, to get internal referrals, right? And they just want to go for external referrals through external marketing, and they get doubt. Okay, that's number one. Number two, chiropractors that are lazy. I just think that I find that chiropractors that are lazy, that aren't not willing to put in the work, they develop a lot of doubt, a lot of self-doubt about their capabilities about doing things. Okay, so if you're not putting in the time, but those chiropractors that put in the work, literally, it's like they put in the work. It's almost as if they know, hey, I've put in the work. I deserve to be confident at this point, really. And they develop their confidence. That's why putting in the work usually, not all the time, but it usually removes self-doubt. It's like a fighter. When a fighter has a full fight camp, they've got tremendous doubt. They can take on an army of people. But when they have a minimal camp, a training camp or half a training camp, there's always that doubt in their mind as to whether or not they're prepared to fight the good fight. Okay? I find chiropractors with self-doubt are chiropractors that have limiting belief systems. Really, just they either, they don't, their beliefs prevent them from growing, from expanding. They believe, hey, chiropractors should only make a certain amount of money, or a chiropractor should not get paid a lot of money for a particular treatment. They have belief systems that cause doubt inside their mind. Another thing could be some chiropractors don't feel that they should be making a lot of money. They have this poor man syndrome. That limiting belief really creates a lot of self-doubt. I think a lot of chiropractors that have self-doubt they have this fear of failure, right? And having a fear of failure prevents you from going out and trying things, and what happens is they always end up doubting things. Right? They end up doubting themselves. And so that doubt just creeps and creeps and creeps in, and it literally almost paralyzes them. They've got that fear of failure. Now, on the opposite spectrum, some chiropractors, they have a fear of success. Like I don't know what it is. It's just that they don't want to be successful. Maybe because success is going to be too painful. It's going to be too hard to maintain success. I used to be that way. Really, I didn't know it, but I had this idea that being successful was going to give me too much work, and it was going to be too hard to maintain that success. And so I wasn't achieving success because my limiting belief was preventing me from being successful. And in reality, I didn't realize that by being successful, I could make more money. I could actually delegate most of the work out. I wouldn't have to work as hard, and the success would be able to continue. So success also is something, the fear of success can cause a lot of self-doubt. And then the next one and the final one is just not being around people who are good influences inside your life. Those are people that, I don't like to admit this, but there are people that a lot of entrepreneurs hang out with that don't want the best for you. They don't even want you to be successful. They'd rather you be not successful just so that you can hang out with them. Because they know that if you are successful, you're probably going to hang out at better clubs, better restaurants, go to better bowl games, and those people aren't going to be able to hang out with you because maybe they can't afford to go do those things and join you. And so sometimes those people, you think they're your friends, and they may be your friends, but they don't necessarily want the best thing for you. And so they kind of sabotage you, and that creates a lot of self-doubt as well. So look, so how do you get around this, right? The first thing I hope these characteristics, you don't have any of these characteristics. But how do you get around this? How do you get around all these things that lead to self-doubt? And that is something that took me a long time to really, really realize. And then it took me an even longer time to be able to remedy. And that is, you've got to be self-aware. Self-aware of yourself, right? And so what is self-awareness? So self-awareness is really, it's the ability to be able to focus on yourself and kind of learn who you are and learn what your actions are and what your emotions are, or learn what you align yourself with and learn what your internal standards are. Those are what self-awareness is really all about, right? So let me give you an example. So let's say being self-aware means like understanding your responses to things, even your emotional responses to different types of things. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're hanging out with your friends, another chiropractor, and he starts talking to you about how busy he is inside of his office. He's seeing 200 patients a week, and you're seeing 50 patients a week. And let's say, like, deep in your gut, right, you start feeling you don't want to feel this way, but it just happens, and you feel this like little bit of jealousy inside your heart or inside your gut for this person's success, right? And so instead of just kind of like just brushing that off, right? Instead of just brushing it off, try to actually acknowledge this feeling of this jealousy that you're feeling for your friend or for this person in front of you. It's because understanding what it is that you're feeling at this time can really help lead you to kind of recognizing some of these insecurities that you might have, right? And that's what self-doubt is really about. It's about learning about your strengths, learning about your weaknesses, and then actually learning how to remedy these things so that you can become a much better person. And so, like, knowing your weaknesses is very important, just as much as knowing your strengths is extremely, extremely important. And and knowing maybe some of your bad tendencies, right? What are your bad tendencies? That's very, very important for you to. And once you get a hold of those, once you become more and more self-awareness and get really, really comfortable with who you are, you'll find that things don't bother you as much. You don't have as much self-doubt because you really kind of know what you're capable of doing. And so when you learn and you become self-aware, you start to become honest with yourself. I mean, like, brutally honest with yourself, so that things don't bother you anymore, and you can just kind of brush them off. And when you start to just brush off things that don't really have a lot of meaning, that's when you really start to improve yourself, improve your business, and you can become really, really okay with yourself. And that's when you start to become a better person, a more confident person, less doubt. And that's really when your business starts to grow logarithmically. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this. This is Dr. Jason Tirado from the 7-Figure Practice Accelerator, and we'll talk to you soon.